Welcome back to My Terminal, a channel about computers, productivity, and more. So this video is a part of my series Back to Linux and is a continuation of my previous video where I talked about why and what I made the transition to from my MacBook Pro. If you haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend you to start from there just to get a context of this video. But if you have, let's get right into it. So before I start this video, I'd like to get this off my chest that I didn't plan to pay for Windows on my new device. Now, for some reason, even though Lenovo has been announcing official Linux support on their hardware, they still, at least at the time of this video, they do not offer a choice besides Windows when you order a machine from them. I mean, look at Dell. They've been shipping Linux laptops since years now, especially with Ubuntu. As I had to get Windows and then later set the machine my way, I opted for Windows 10 Home out of the two choices out there on the website. At least it saved me some money on a software that I was barely going to use. So let's talk about the pre-installed Windows that came with the hardware. Again, I've been using Windows at work since my first job in 2009. In fact, on my personal computer since exactly 10 years before that in 1999. So I've seen almost everything Windows since version 3.1, but owning a Windows device after all these years made me look at it from a fresh perspective and appreciate how things just work out of the box with almost zero effort. So the setup on the ThinkPad contained almost no bloat. There were only those 2 to 3 software from Lenovo, like the Lenovo Vantage and the NVIDIA drivers, and a Lenovo wallpaper, which I won't be able to show in this video because I wiped its setup way back, and that was almost it. The rest of the Windows experience was pretty stock. It was very snappy and no other software I did from them. Now, I've done this a few times before, even for a few friends of mine. Buy a Windows machine, wipe it soon after the unboxing, only to repartition the hard drive and then set it up according to my setup. But that way you don't get to experience the device the way it was supposed to be used. So this time I took my time with the device in its factory state before I could start my regular onboarding process. Not talking about my tight schedule when the device was delivered to me, which was earlier than expected. I was scared to jump right into spending tens or maybe hundreds of hours to get the machine run well with Linux, even though I had a guide with me this time, which was on the Arch Linux wiki. So the device was in an almost untouched state for a couple of days, and during that time, the way device performed with Windows, I was really impressed. Now, there are a few good things about the setup. I could relive those memories back from 2010 when I used to be a Windows and Microsoft fan. I even paid extra to upgrade from Windows 10 Home Basic to Windows 7 Pro while I was ordering my Dell Studio 1558 online. Now, I didn't want to change more stuff than required, so I used Microsoft Edge, which felt quite like Google Chrome, which is the first time I'm using Microsoft Edge on a computer for quite a long time, until I finally decided that was enough and I installed Firefox and continued from there. Besides, not having to work with Internet Explorer on a stock machine right from the start was a big relief. Then we had Windows Halo, which worked great. It identified me quickly every single time with or without glasses. And the fingerprint integration was spot on, so I never had to enter my password to unlock the device. Now, I had been reading and watching about a few ways how you can set up the device to switch between the two graphics processors on Linux, which is something that's quite invisible to the user in the sense you don't have to worry about it when you're using Windows, because Windows automatically takes care of the switching as required. However, I discovered this cool feature in Windows by accident that you can very well choose the graphics processor to be used while launching an app. Though this is now possible in Linux as well, there are quite a lot of constraints to be able to have it as easy a selection as here it is in Windows. So that is just awesome. So it's been years since I reinstalled Windows on a device, and I was expecting at least a few hurdles in the entire process. Something might have changed and I might not be knowing. But surprisingly, everything from creating a bootable Windows installation media to the actual installation felt very effortless. I learned that these days you can also download Windows 10 from the official Microsoft website instead of those Linux ISO torrents, and they even help you with the bootable media creation. Now, being from a different time, I noted the product key that the device came pre-activated with, thinking that I'll need it after the reinstallation of Windows. But I didn't need it, as it automatically applied the product key from the Windows account and activated Windows for me as soon as I logged in, which is again another good thing. So does that change my opinion about Windows now? I'd say no. So back when I left Windows in 2013, it was just perfect for me. I was totally convinced with Windows as my primary OS. And all these improvements I don't think they can still lure me back in. I'm totally used to the freedom and those hundreds of choices that come in Linux, or maybe even Mac for that matter. And I'll probably never be able to go back to Windows again. So I'm all up for having to fix my computer to make it work the way I need it, than to live with limitations from a system like Windows. I mean, it's great, but it's not for me. That's what I think. But as I mentioned before, I've dedicated a small partition of my drive for Windows, and I might occasionally keep visiting there just to see how Windows changes, if at all it does, and to update Windows, which is something that you have to regularly do in Windows, right? And then I'll return back to my primary partition on Arch Linux for some real productive work and even play games, if at all. And I didn't expect I'll be able to say that ever, like playing games on Linux, but yeah, we live in a different time now. So thanks Proton or Steam, whoever's responsible. So that's all that I had for this video, but the main part is yet to come in the next one, where I'll cover the details on how I set up my workstation with Arch Linux. I promise it'll be full of hopefully useful info and details about my struggle and eventually accomplishment. Definitely no spoilers there. So till then, may the maker watch over you. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.